thank you all for coming today. What questions do you have for me from the benefits side?
Okay.
Okay, Glenn. It's good to see you again.
Hello. Okay, my name is Glenn Stewart, and I know you guys are probably looking like, oh man, not this crazy idiot again. But anyway, when it comes to VBA, you know, VA, like I said before, healthcare, Muskogee, Tulsa, I'm very pleased. VBA, the examiners conducting the C&P examinations down there, when it comes to Gulf wellness, we've dealt with this before. You know, I've talked to you guys before. We corresponded via email, and you know, they finally got my claims corrected. You know, except for one, CFS, still denied. At this point, I was like, you know what? I'm 100% permanent. Leave it alone. Don't touch it anymore. But the reason why I continue to fight, at this point, you know, you would think, okay, well, you're 100% permanent. Just shut up. You know, go into your rocking chair. You know, leave us alone. The reason why I continue to fight is because I'm an advocate for veterans suffering from Gulf War illness like myself. I know I don't have much time left on this planet. I will never see 70 years old. So I make it a point to make it count. And as an advocate pushing for research, reform, and so on, I continue to interact with veterans within the community. And when I go over their claims, I'm still seeing the same pattern emerging where these claims are being illegally denied for specific items that are covered, which are presumptive conditions covered under the law. Now, you take, for example, we talked about the individual, right? I have the definition, the criteria that he used for the C&P examination, you know, what he used as criteria for defining CFS, and why he changed, even though I had a report from the War-Related Illness and Injury Center in Washington, D.C. that said 1H, Glenn Stewart has CFS. I had one report from Georgetown University, Dr. Baranin, says Glenn Stewart, 1H, has CFS. Now, according to the policy and according to the law, basically what it says is simply said, and I brought the policy and the law with me, gave the doctor a copy, and read to him the paragraphs, said, look, in accordance with the law, it says, I have CFS. Yes or no? Yes. According to the policy, it says, have you had it for over 6 months? Yes. Claim approved. Bottom line, that's it. Nothing else needs to be said. However, he changed, he used the definition that he used for CFS. He's supposed to go by the IOM definition of 2010, which has been updated in 2013, right? The definition criteria that he used for CFS is a 1988 CDC report. 1988, we're talking about almost 30 years. That's what he used to deny my claims. What this doctor did to me and is doing to other veterans is illegal, is criminal, and to be honest with you, I would love to see him in jail because there's no excuse. I can excuse ignorance. Ignorance is lack of knowledge. But when I give you the material and I inform you, then you graduate from ignorant to stupid. And it's a deliberate. It's something that is intentional and deliberate. That's one of the reasons we're having a demonstration in Washington in front of Lincoln Memorial on July 16th. Now, whatever I say, please don't take it personally, because you know, you guys have done some excellent work. However, there are rotten apples within the system, and that's one of the things that I continue to push is like, look, we have a good system. We have our VA. We need to take the cancerous tumors that are within the system, perform surgery, and get them out. Get them out of the system so that our system as veterans can run effectively and efficiently. And This guy here, he's one of the cancers. And as, you know, one of the things I'm looking at, I can tell you right now, I'm looking, do I plan on suing the VA for what happened to me? No, because I don't blame the VA. But am I going to go after him? Oh, you bet. You bet. Because bottom line, I want him, you know, there's a 2010 policy. There's a 2010 training letter that was put out on the proper procedures, step by step, and I have a copy of it if anybody wants to see it. It has a step-by-step procedures on how to handle gulf illness claims. But yet he did not abide by it, he did not follow the policy, he did not obey the law. That's why I'm going after him.
All right, well, I appreciate the update. Obviously, we've had a lot of chances to work with you over the last year or so. I appreciate you bringing a lot of these issues to light. I know that in your particular case, we were able to really work with you offline and address some things that we did need to get right, no doubt. You know, as we've spoken before, even before this meeting, this puts us kind of in a level where there's overlap between the medical side and our side. And what we really got to nail down is a lot of the issues I know that you've raised have to do with the diagnosis and the medical rationale that provider is providing. Rightly or wrongly, it may be completely incorrect, or he may have a medical rationale that he or she can explain. Unfortunately, that doesn't really fall under VBA. That's why we have saying we've got to sit down with the medical center side as the new director comes in, the chief of staff, and really kind of get to the nugget of what's going on with this diagnosis. Why are the examiners, when you go to a C&P exam, whether they're contracted out by VHA or they're direct C&P providers, what is it about that process they're using to come up with one diagnosis over the other? Then the overlap comes on our side in terms of when we get the diagnosis, are we evaluating it properly? If they're giving us the credible medical evidence, are we making the right decisions? And so I think I'll just reiterate what I told you before the start of this. You know, my commitment to you is to try to help facilitate the discussion as the new director comes in at the medical center. Let's try to nail down that medical piece, because I know that's one of the major frustrations, that they're misdiagnosing these things. And then let's trail back from there to determine, you know, are we, once we're getting the proper medical evidence on the claim side, that we're making the right decisions as well. And we'll continue to work with you. I'm happy to do that. I know Richard's more than willing to meet with you afterwards, the acting chief of staff, to try to get the conversation started on that medical piece of that.
But the only thing, when it comes to the VBA and the VA health side, right? I know they're two separate entities.
Yeah.
If you try to address one, if you call, like I have transcripts of my conversation with a VBA reviewer concerning my record, and I explained to him why, you know, you cannot let this go forward. It needs to go back because they messed up. Here's the thing. You contact the VBA and they tell you, oh, well, that's health. So we only go by what they say. You contact health and they say, oh, well, that's claims.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We need to, I'm willing, our leadership is willing, I know the medical center leadership is willing to sit down and figure out where is the process not operating correctly. Or is it operating? It may be operating correctly, and it's an education piece of trying to help explain why a certain outcome is expected, but it's not occurring. There's a medical reason. I'm not a doctor. I can't speak to that. I obviously can speak for days about the disability evaluation process. You know, Richard and his folks can sit down and talk about, well, they'll get the right people in the room to look at the medical path of how are they getting to that conclusion? How are they getting to that diagnosis if it's incorrect? And, you know, again, we spoke this morning, and what that examiner, I didn't know who you were referring to, I don't know that gentleman, but what he described to you is accurate in that the people that make the disability decisions are not physicians, they're not clinicians. We don't have the expertise when we're working disability decisions to determine that diagnosis is medically infeasible. So there is a reliance on the claims processing side that when we're getting the doctor's notes and the diagnoses, that they're credible and we can move forward with them. So, you know, our big challenge is I want to make sure that when we're getting the right diagnosis, we're getting the right medical etiology from the doctors, but that on our side, we're making the right decisions with it. And that's something that I think we own, and I'm willing to make sure that we're doing when we're getting the right medical evidence. Okay?
Yeah.
So we'll start there, and we'll go from there. And I know Richard's willing to talk to you guys offline. What else you guys got?
I just have a question about when he was talking about, Mr. Glenn, the doctor that you went to, you said it was a C&P, so was that actually a VA doctor? Was it?
It was a VA doctor. It was done at the Muskogee VA. And
Did we use a DBQ, the disability benefits questionnaire?
no.
I think this predated those.
No.
I think
It predated, and the thing about the DBQ is, here's the thing. When it comes to GWI claims, you don't need a DBQ. In accordance with the law, bottom line, it says, hey, you are sick with this, here are the presumptives, end of story. That's it.
Right. I was just curious as whether he did use one or not.
No, he didn't. And the thing is, I mean, seriously, DBQs, I mean, please. I tried to go to all these different doctors like rheumatologists, gastroenterologists, say, hey, look, can you give me a DBQ so that I can appeal this claim? And the thing is this, out of all the doctors, in just 1 year alone, I have been to 12 different doctors and specialists trying to figure out what the heck is wrong with this veteran. Why is he so sick? Why is this happening and so on? 12 different doctors in 1 year, right? I went back and I said, okay, can you hear? I even took and pre-filled a DBQ for them. You know, basically all they had to do was sign and date, you know. They refuse. It's too complex for them. They don't understand them. They won't bother with them. And the one doctor that actually did one, it was like a 5th grader could have written a better DBQ. I took the DBQ and I just crumbled it up and threw it in the trash. I was like, that was total waste. So DBQs, you know what? I tell veterans, don't waste your time with a DBQ.
Well, I would say we've seen some great success stories. Unfortunately, you know, maybe there are stories like you're sharing that have occurred, and I think there's been an evolution with the DBQ process. I know the medical center side struggled with how do you integrate DBQs in the healthcare model that they have. Veterans show up to a primary care appointment, and I don't mean to speak for you, but I've just heard you guys say this enough. I think I can speak intelligently. They show up to a primary care appointment, well, whether it's VA or Dr. Jones down the road here in private practice, they're allotting 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on what you told them they had. You're coming in for. They're not expecting an hour plus long disability questionnaire. And that's typically, a lot of these DBQs take a lot of time to fill out properly. And so I know early on when the disability questionnaires were introduced, there was a lot of that going on. The doctors were saying, I don't have time to do this.
No.
Come back. Or they're a general practitioner and the DBQ requires a specialist to properly fill out and evaluate. And they're going, I'm not comfortable doing this because I don't have this specialty. And I know the VHA on the healthcare side has tried to come up with strategies, maybe putting DBQ clinics together on certain days or weekends. They've tried to integrate some of that into their processes. But I think it's still a work in progress. I will tell you though, let me just say this. We've had a lot of success stories with it. You shared one side of the spectrum, and it happens. They have been turned away. I do not deny that. That has happened. But we've also seen veterans who, particularly if it's a claim for increase, if it's initial disability claim, disability questionnaires are really not the way to go, because typically what we're going to have, we're going to need someone to review those veterans' medical records to give us a nexus opinion or make some informed decisions, particularly if we're 30, 40 years out of service. And so we're typically going to want the examiner to look at all the military records, and the proper position is not going to have access to them. But where disability questionnaires, we've seen a lot of great stories, is that the veteran is already service-connected. They feel their condition is more severe. When they take those questionnaires and get their doctors to fill them out properly and completely, we're able to rate on those. And the VSOs in our building would echo what I'm telling you. When those things line up, we've been able to issue decisions for veterans in 3 or 4 days. We've had some great successes with that. And the veteran is typically more satisfied because A, it was timely, and B, it was their attending physician, medical evidence that we relied upon. There was some trust there. So it's still a process that I think that is evolving. We're trying to find ways to better leverage it. And I would tell you or any service officer that works with veterans, it's a tool that would be beneficial for claims for increase. That's probably the best recommendation I would use for that. Otherwise, we're probably going to end up setting them up for an exam anyway. And that's a whole other source of frustration for veterans when they give us a disability questionnaire and then we examine them anyway. Yes, sir.
But see, here's the thing when it comes to undiagnosed illnesses, you know, what they consider, you know, the VA was trying to classify as CMI, right? That's been thrown out. We refused the terminology because they were trying to lump everything, Vietnam, Agent Orange, DU, everything all together. You know, basically what it boils down to is we don't understand it, so therefore we're going to just, you know, say whatever, it's an unknown diagnosis. You know, when it comes to claims, the mentality is if they don't see something wrong on the outside, right, then apparently there must not be something wrong with you. I mean, you have no idea how many times I have wished, I mean, I could lay my hands on some kind of physician, trying to explain to them what I have to endure, what I have to suffer, and be able to transfer everything I go through for 48 hours, just 48 hours, just so that they can get a sense of this, right? And then, just then, they might get some compassion like, holy smokes, I never realized this is what you have to go through every day. Yes, it's every day, 24 hours a day. Imagine having a headache. You know, you guys, anybody get migraines? Okay. Can you imagine having a migraine headache that will last over 5 years? Anybody? Guess what? I have gone for over 5 years. I have a headache right now. It never, ever, ever goes away. The only thing that ever changes is the intensity level. You try to explain that to any physician, VA or civilian, even the civilian market. You try to explain that to them, and they look at you like, oh, okay, well, I guess we need to send you to for a mental evaluation.
So here's what we'll do. We'll get you set up and you can talk to our head of C&P. I talked to Dr. Chelsea afterwards. Because they're the, you know, I feel bad. That is the one intersection that we have with VBA is anything medically related, that's us. So, and like I said, we take that seriously. So we'll set you up with talking to our head of compensation and pension and you know, make sure to bring your stuff. I'm sure you will.
Yeah, I think the main thing is putting you with the right people. And I think that's what, since we've worked with you over the last year or so, we tried to work with the right people and resolve the issues with your claim. And now as you raise these bigger issues that you see could be affecting other veterans, we want to put you with the right people so you can share what you know and share what you have in terms of your experience and observations and really get that dialogue going. And I appreciate those guys making that available to you.